And for the 14th time ever, we are live. Everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Reviewing Network Live. Another week, another Sunday has come, and I'd say right now, it has not been a busy news week. Not a whole lot of big stories came out. We got some stuff to talk about, but these aren't like the big stories that we've had, especially the ones we had last week. So, we are back here on the regular channel here, instead of having it be the preview episode over on the main channel. We have some stuff to look at this week, some things that I saw, some reviews of stuff I kind of want to talk about on here, Christmas-related stuff. We are in December, after all. And, of course, we got some recommendations as well as the weekend box office, which we'll get to in just a second. But before I do, I have to put out the disclaimer here. This is the Reviewing Network Live, and this is, of course, the weekly stream of consciousness conversation recording session where we sit back for a little bit and talk about things that happened the previous week before. And these are, like, longer, free-form episodes. They're much longer than my usual videos are, my usual reviews, and they're also fairly unedited. For the most part, they're unedited, so there's going to be some foul language here. If you're offended by that, you might want to step away, but if you're up to the challenge, of course, I have to say, let's begin the conversation. And as we usually do on the show, we begin with a look at the top 5, the weekend box office, which we're coming off after Thanksgiving, usually a very slow weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving, because a lot of the newer releases that came out during the holiday drop off in numbers. And while we did have that, there was also a lot of newer releases too. I mean, half the list I'm looking at here for the top 10 are new releases. That's very rare for the weekend after Thanksgiving. I mean, this says a lot about how the studios are so desperate to try to make as much money as they can, especially with the strikes and COVID. They want to put movies out there, and they had some good options available for people this weekend. So let's get to it. Let's start with number 5, and that is Disney's Wish, which dropped 62% from last week. The good news is it surpassed the total gross of Strange World, but that's really not saying a whole lot. It brought in $7.4 million. $74 million would be great for this movie, but no. $7.4 million, dropping 62% from last week. $41.9 million. The worldwide gross for this is up to $81 million, which is certainly not good news. It's just part of a really bad year for Disney. In fact, the Marvels just dropped down out of the top 10 to bring in only $80 million after 4 weeks. And there was a story on Variety saying that they aren't even going to report the international numbers anymore. So basically, they're just saying that it's a flop and we're not even going to worry about it. Like, even though this is still playing in theaters, they're not even going to report the numbers anymore after this week, which is extremely depressing to think about, because the Marvels wasn't a bad movie, and neither was Wish, which I'm hoping that this sticks around a little bit. It took off a little bit because of the fact that it's coming off of the week after Thanksgiving. But, we've still got a couple weeks before some big new family competition comes. So hopefully this could stick around, but I'm not getting my hopes up too much. But number 4 is also another family film that's hoping to grab some more cash before some of the big new holiday releases come around. Trolls Band Together, which stayed at number 4 from last week. $7.6 million, dropping 57% from last week to bring in $74.8 million after 3 weeks. The movie has grossed over $160 million worldwide. I just did a review for this over on the main channel today. And these movies have been a disappointment to me. I always go into them expecting much more than I expect them to be, and I'm always disappointed, and that was the case with Trolls Band Together. Yeah, I was not a big fan of that movie, unfortunately. I would say go see Wish over Trolls Band Together, which Wish, I actually found out this week that something interesting I found out about the movie's end credits song, A Wish Worth Making, is Julia Michaels. I had no idea that was the same girl that did Issues, which is a song that I really do not like. And the fact that she did this song that I really like at the end of Wish, I mean, that's a gradual turnaround from starting your career off with a terrible song in Issues, and then following it up with this. I mean, that's a good step in the right direction. But we're done talking about Wish. We're done talking about Trolls Band Together. So let's go ahead and talk about one of the new releases that came out and made it into the top 5. The number 3 release, which everybody's talking about, Godzilla Minus One, a movie that was not heavily promoted anywhere. Was really it wasn't really mass marketed everywhere like most of the Hollywood blockbusters. But hey, man, you bring in $11 million on just 2,300 screens without any publicity whatsoever, and you get as much praise as you do here. And that really is saying a whole lot here. I guess maybe it's also because it's the 70th anniversary of the Godzilla series in general, and so I guess that there was a reason that there was reason to believe that people were going to go see this, but the film got a high amount of praise for it. I mean, it's heavily acclaimed by critics everywhere. Everyone I've talked to online has said it's really good. And, $11 million for something that did not have the biggest marketing campaign for it is pretty damn impressive. So I have to give them a lot of credit for that. It's one I definitely want to check out at some point. I'm sure I've got some other movies I got to see first, but I'm really curious to check this one out. I've been hearing nothing but good things about it. Nobody said a bad thing about it per se. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking that one out. So that's Godzilla -1. The number 2 movie this week, which finally fell off after being the number 1 movie the last couple of weeks. Another movie I looked at this week, The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which $14.5 million, dropping 50%, $121.2 million this weekend, bringing its worldwide gross up to $243 million, which is not bad numbers at all. It's a decent number. It's not quite the numbers that the original Hunger Games movies brought in, but Lionsgate will gladly take it. I saw the movie this week, and it was alright. I thought it was very good. I thought it was good for the most part. I thought it was a much better prequel than something like Fantastic Beasts was. It didn't have that spark or something different to make it stand out on its own. Like, I really wanted them to do something a little bit different outside of the regular Hunger Games movies, and what I think they delivered was fine, but I really do think that there should have been a little bit more to give it its own unique edge to it. There's something unique, different about it compared to the other films in the series, but that's just my personal opinion on that one. So, which brings us now to the number 1 movie this week, and after Taylor Swift took the big screen, AMC said, "Okay, Beyonce, here's your chance to get one too," and it worked on her, and it worked for her too. We have Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, which is the second AMC concert movie released in theaters this year after Taylor Swift. Didn't do as big as Taylor Swift did, but $21 million is not a bad opening for this at all. $27.4 million after the worldwide releases, and another film that was highly praised this weekend. And again, one I kind of want to check out at some point. Sooner or later I will. Sometime this month I'll hopefully get around to checking it out. But again, it's just the scheduling, because we got so many. I've got still CityCon coming next week. Then I've got to do all the movies that are coming out after that. Wonka, and then Aquaman comes out later on down the road, The Color Purple. So I'll try to squeeze it in here, but I'm not making any guarantees that I'm going to be able to see it this month. But I definitely want to check it out at some point. But I'm going to be curious to see how this works, too, because when Taylor Swift came out, they had a disadvantage of only playing the movie on the weekends and not playing it during the week. So they lost a chunk of money that they could have gotten from the weekly box office and just taking it from the weekends. So I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with the Beyonce movie. But other than that, though, that's pretty much it for the top 5. There's some other films here that opened up in the top 10. We have Animal, which opened the highest at $6.1 million, a movie that I don't really know too much about, honestly, so I can't really say for certain what it is about, but $6.1 million at 700 theaters is pretty impressive. Angel Studios put out another film, The Shift, which brought in $4.3 million. Probably the only real release I saw a lot of promotions for was John Woo's Silent Night, which did poorly at the box office. $3 million on that film. Probably not the numbers they were looking for on that one. Let me see if I can find the budget here. Doesn't say what the budget is, but it did not get the best reviews overall. So, needless to say, probably not the way that Lionsgate really wanted to have that come out. But I don't think they're too that upset about it. I don't think they really had a whole lot of high hopes on that one. But other than that, though, that's the weekend box office for this week. And next week won't be that packed of a box office because it's not going to be any big new releases that, as far as I know, don't come out this week. And I think the biggest new release that comes out is La Syndicalisti, which I have no idea what this movie is. I'm just looking at what it says on Box Office Mojo. It says it's a wide release, so other than that, though, it's going to be a very slow weekend next week, which will be good for me because I'm probably going to be so tired from working Steel City Con and getting everything packed up that next week's show may be a very small one compared to depending on whether or not we get some news this week of interest, but I just have to wait to see what happens during the course of the week. But speaking of the news of the week, let's talk about the news of the week. It is time for some story time. So it really was not a big news week for stories in general. You really had to kind of look around to see if there was anything of noteworthiness to really talk about. And there were a couple things that I thought were kind of interesting, and I could probably add my little opinions onto them as well. Starting off with what's going on over at Disney. Of course, like I said, in the box office, the Disney 2023 100th anniversary celebration did not go as well as I think they wanted it to. And Bob Iger spoke to a number of different people this week on a conference call, talking about the year in general and how they could fix their problems here. And I got the story here from Deadline Hollywood. It was like a town hall meeting that they had talking about this. And here's the story from the news here. Bob Iger and top executives stressed a commitment to quality over quantity as the studio film slate has had a bumpy ride. Talked up parks at ESPN and looked at the future of the television business and anticipated all hands on deck town hall today, 1 year after the Disney CEO returned to the helm. I spent the year with the team fixing a lot of things, Iger said, but I feel we've just emerged from a period of a lot of fixing to one of building again, and I can tell you building is a lot more fun than fixing. In assessing some of our performances recently, one of the reasons I believe it's fallen off a bit is that we were making too much. Which, in a way, I think that we can all agree with. There's been a lot coming from Disney over the last couple of years, because there is more of a sense of emphasis that we have to go bigger in order to get people to come in, and I don't know, I feel like I could see definitely where he's coming from this, but in the end, this is all kind of part of the thing that helped make Disney what it was for the last decade, honestly. The more I think about it, the more he should think about it. He also says, I think when it comes to creativity, quality is critical, of course, and quantity in many ways can destroy quality. Storytelling, obviously, is the core of what we do as a company. And, again, makes a lot of sense. I mean, but then again, this was kind of the thing that he kind of set up overall in terms of, like, more movies coming out, more bigger movies, like I said before. But in this, he also talked about ESPN, and he thinks that the sports juggernaut is still on track for a 2025 streaming launch. And nothing more in particular, but he's making a lot of points here, and I get the feeling that he does realize that things have got to change around the studio because of the way that they've been doing business over the last couple of years. It's not working as well as it should anymore, and in a way, he's bringing up a lot of good points. I mean, he's bringing up a lot of things that make a whole lot of sense. But then again, even though he's trying his best to try to fix a lot of these problems, he's making more problems of their own. Because later in the week, there was another story that came out about why he thought the Marvels did poorly. And I've got that right here. So basically, he blames the pandemic effect as part of the reason for the dismal box office results of the Marvels, saying that the Marvels were shot during COVID, there wasn't as much supervision on the set, so to speak, where we have executives that are really looking over what's being done day after day after day, which, yeah, that's a big mistake on your part for saying that. Like, every time you look at Bob Iger and think he's finally going to go back to the Bob Iger that we used to know him as, the little bit of that scumbagginess that came out during the actor strike continues to rear its ugly faces. The Marvels were shot during COVID, and there wasn't as much supervision on the set, which, you know, if you want to make a good movie nowadays, you kind of have to hope that you don't have as much supervision on the set. You should let your filmmakers do whatever they want to do with a movie, but the fact that he's complaining about the fact that we have executives that will look over everything what we're doing day after day, and we didn't have him on there, it's just like, buddy, like, you realize that's part of the problem with your movies and why most people are getting sick and tired of watching your movies nowadays, because you have executives on the set making sure that they follow these set rules that you have in place, and it just, I don't know, like, that really irked a lot of people, and it irks me a lot too, because, like, it's basically saying, don't be creative, stick to the book, and everything will work out fine. Well, yeah, that works fine for a little bit, but after several years of doing that, you really, really have to really think about, if something's not working, you gotta be open to some change here, buddy, which, again, it feels like he's trying to do, because, you know, we talk about quantity over quality. That's been the biggest problem with Disney over the last couple of years, but look at the schedule they've got coming out next year. I mean, their first big new release of the year doesn't come out until summer 2024, and that's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That comes out in May. There's a stretch now between November and May where there's not going to be a new Disney movie coming out. Like, the movies that Disney had in place for like spring 2024 and all that, not going to be coming out until then. And I don't know if this is now. There is the first Omen coming out, but I thought that was going to be a Hulu release. Let me see here. Or maybe it is going to be a theatrical release. Okay, so there's a prequel to the Omen coming out in April of 2024. So I guess that's technically the first new release from Disney. But At the same time, though, between Wish and the First Omen, that's 4 months worth of movies that are going that Disney will not have anything out for them out on, like that's unusual for Disney because we're so used to having them have a movie coming out every couple of months or so. But now we're not going to get a new Disney release until April, and even then, it's not one of their movies. And then after that, you got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and then summer it's about Deadpool 2, and then Deadpool 3, I should say, Inside Out 2, and then Mufasa the Lion King just moved out of summer to Christmas of next year. So there really is not going to be a whole lot from Disney coming out in theaters next year, which is very, very different and very interesting. So we should definitely see whether or not they really are buying into the whole idea that we're going to put more quality into our movies than worrying about the quantity of the movies, because it's an interesting pathway to take with a couple of these movies here, that a lot of these movies are getting pushed aside here and the schedule is not looking as packed as it used to be. So hopefully that means that they're listening to people, they're going to practice what they preach, and maybe things will slowly but surely get back to the way they were. One would hope, but you know what? David Zaslav is at least not David Zaslav. That's going against what I was about to say. Bob Iger's at least trying to save face. David Zaslav, he just keeps digging his own grave. Yeah, Bob Iger was at least trying to burn the fire a little bit, but David Zaslav, if you didn't know this guy was a complete utter scumbag up to this point, this week's article that came out on Variety should pretty much tell you everything you need to know about how horrible of a guy this really is. This comes from Variety, like I said. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav waited on the twin SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes and defended the company's budget cuts, including shelving completed films Batgirl and Coyote vs. Acme as requiring courage to right-size its balance sheet, which... Courage. Yeah, you don't know what courage is. You have a character in your library named Courage the Cowardly Dog that knows more about courage than you do, David. So, anyway, Zaslav, speaking Wednesday at the New York Times DealBook Summit, reiterated to moderator Andy Ross Sorkin that with respect to the strikes, he was focused on achieving a resolution as soon as possible, which you didn't do a really good job at it since you and Bob Iger couldn't shut your fucking mouths up. I think the idea of going on strike was bad for all of us. My focus was on we need to settle the strike every day that we were on strike and people weren't working was a bad day for us. But recently was quoted in a New York Times piece saying, yes, the WGA was right about almost everything, which you didn't really show it, dude. Like, let's see if I can get here to... Here we go. Zaslav said WBW spending cuts, including mass layoffs and billions in content write-offs, were required to improve the media conglomerate's financial health. For the first year, 2022, Warner Brothers Discovery took a $2.9 billion charge of content restructuring, impairments, and write-offs. We decided that we had to have courage, he said. Elaborating on WB's decision to write off certain films and television series, he said, hypothetically, if the company had already spent $100 million producing a film, the question is, should we take certain of these movies and open them in a theater and spend another $30 or $40 million to promote them? The Warner Brothers Entertainment and HBO team made a number of hard decisions, Zaslav continued, but then, when I look at the health of our company, we need to make those decisions, and it took real courage. Like, again, let me remind you what this guy has done since he got here. He shelved a $90 million budgeted DC movie, Batgirl, and the Scoop sequel, Holiday Hunt, which were pretty much nearing completion. He also canceled several HBO Max original series, axed a show that was in production in the Nevers, and then just this month, he said the studio was shelving Coyote vs. Acme until people finally had enough of him, and Warner Brothers was forced to find another studio to release the film, which... It also doesn't help your argument when this week, just before this story came out, HBO Max listed their schedule of things that were going to be coming off of the streamer. And one of the things that was posted on there was all the Looney Tunes cartoons. All the Looney Tunes cartoons, all the Looney Tunes TV series, everything but the Looney Tunes Back in Action, Space Jam, gone. Wiped off the thing. And then it only took a couple of hours after that story was put out for WB to go out and say, oh, we made a mistake. We're not going to take the Looney Tunes off of there. Yeah, you're not going to take them off there because somebody called you out on your bullshit again. Again, for the second time in 3 weeks, somebody called you out on your BS way of tackling your studio, and you decided to avoid a ride again, and basically just had to reverse course pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much what you did. And so now the Looney Tunes shorts are staying on there for now, but you never know. He's gonna find a way to screw this up again. Just wait. But like seriously, how much longer is this gonna go on? We've been talking about the ineptitude and the jackassery of this guy for months, years now. Like all of his decisions he's made absolutely no sense, and it just keeps coming to the belief that he's trying to turn Warner Brothers into the Discovery Channel. His stupid reality shows, his stupid shows that he has on there, he wants that to be the main focus of the new Warner Brothers, and not the things that have made that studio what they were for the past 100 years. And that's why I hate him more than Bob Iger, because Bob Iger's at least trying to save some face a little bit here with Disney, even though he's not doing a good job of it for the most part. But David Zaslav just shows how much of an asshole he can really be when he makes these stupid decisions like this. And sooner or later, karma's going to catch up to him, and something that he's not going to get away with some of the stuff that he's been doing pretty soon. Once it only takes one thing to go wrong, and I wouldn't be surprised if that comes sooner rather than later, or even that it's probably the selling of Warner Brothers to Universal. That's been talked about for a couple months now. We've talked about it on here. At this point, I would rather see Universal take control of Warner Brothers. I would rather see them give the Warner Brothers characters more to do at Universal than what David Zaslav is doing right now at Warner Brothers, because right now it's getting ridiculous. And like I said, sooner or later, he's going to do something, and it's going to lead to him getting in trouble, he thinks he's vulnerable right now, but one single moment could change the course of everything if he's not careful, which, knowing him and the fact that he thinks it takes courage to shelve movies that are near completion for tax write-offs, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if that's sooner rather than later. So, again, not a big week for news stories here, but some other things of worthiness to cover here as well. I have a couple of other things to talk about, so let's keep going. So we have some news from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A couple weeks ago, we talked about how Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, lost the director Destin Daniel Cretton, who moved on from there, and he's working on other projects for them. But at the same time, though, him exiting the film and, of course, Marvel going through its change right now, has led them to basically start from scratch again. So they fired the original writer for the Kang Dynasty, Jeff Loveness, especially after what happened with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and now they're moving from another MCU property to get somebody to fix it, to work on this movie, this next Avengers film coming up. And Variety has that story right here. Loki creator Michael Waldron has been hired to write the screenplay for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. He was already on board to pen the sequel, Avengers: Secret Wars, which will conclude the stretch known as the multiverse saga of the interconnected Marvel Cinematic Universe. The films will presumably be connected out of the two-part tale of Infinity War and Endgame. Kang Dynasty is currently scheduled to land in theaters on May 1st, 2026, and will be succeeded by Avengers: Secret Wars on May 7th, 2027. They talk about how Daniel Cretton was on the project, but he dropped out to work on other projects. Beyond its directors, the state of Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars has been the subject of speculation. That's because Jonathan Majors has already played multiple versions of the titular supervillain Kang, the Thanos of this phase of the MCU, on the Disney Plus series Loki and February's Quantumania. But the actor's future with Marvel has been a question mark because he's currently awaiting trial for domestic abuse charges. Waldron has long been steeped in the lore of Marvel, serving as the showrunner of Loki in its first season and writing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which grossed $955 million globally. It may be for the best. The Marvels, which opened in November, is shaping up to be the lowest-grossing installment in the 15-year-old franchise and the first to fall short of $100 million at the domestic box office. This comes on the heels of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which also missed expectations as viewers have become inundated with countless spin-offs, sequels, and a TV series. This summer's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, however, was a success at $845 million globally. So they're kind of taking a similar step to what they did with the original Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame. They're bringing in the guy who has worked on the most well-known thing to come out of a particular phase, because they took Anthony and Joe Russo, who had done a great job with Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and then did the follow-up film Civil War, and they put them in charge of the Avengers movies, which they did a fantastic job on. So I guess the belief is that they're going to try to do the same thing with Michael Waldron, because he writes for Loki, and Loki has been a really good show for Disney+. It's been one of the few things in the MCU timeline so far that in the last couple of years that has been consistent. The second season was very good. First season was also great as well. And it makes sense to have him coming in and spearheading this new film, which is set to be, an amalgamation of all the different MCU characters that have been introduced up to this point. I mean, Miss Marvel probably will be in there. The Fantastic Four, which has started casting, as I talked about last week, with Pedro Pascal being considered for Mr. Fantastic. Probably Deadpool shows up in here. Probably Blade. So there is a lot about this that I think works very well, and I think it's definitely a step in the right direction for the MCU, especially after the year they've had. Take it slow, start from scratch again. Get somebody that can make this stuff work, and let's see where it goes from there. I mean, it's all, and I think it also mostly depends on what happens with this with this abuse charges that Jonathan Majors is going through right now. So, again, we'll have to wait to see what happens, but I think this is definitely the right move for them to start from scratch, start all over again, and you've got the time now to work on it. So hopefully the decisions they make here actually do work out in the end. So, that's it for most of the movie news. There was something that happened in the sports world that kind of really piqued my interest of talking about this week, so let's go ahead and talk about that. So it wasn't really a story, really, but a lot of people were talking about it, especially on Twitter, about Aaron Rodgers. Now, of course, he's been saying the last couple of weeks that he's trying to get back to the football field for the Jets' inevitable playoff run coming in December, which, yeah, if you've seen how badly the New York Jets have been playing for the last couple of months now, they ain't making the playoffs. So the fact that Aaron Rodgers keeps pretending that this team is going to be so good enough that he has to come back and play to get for that last big playoff push, like, it's one thing if you're if you're still on the Green Bay Packers, because the Packers at least still have some hope of making the playoffs. It's very slim, but at least they still have a chance. The Jets have no chance whatsoever. Their offense has been horrible. Their defense, as good as it is, it's not enough to sustain a full game, because sooner or later the other team's offense is going to get going, and once they get going, you're screwed. You're screwed 6 ways from Sunday, pretty much. But I digress. So why am I bringing this up? Well, it is believed to be that there were some people out there suggesting that Aaron Rodgers, who suffered an Achilles injury, a torn ACL, at least we thought it was a torn ACL, on the first night of his Jets tenure, four plays out for the season. Is his ankle? He has like an Achilles tear, and it's basically he's out for the rest of the season. So some people have been suggesting that. I couldn't believe this too, because none of this makes any sense whatsoever. So I have a story right here. This is from Pink Villa, who has a story on here. It's not the main story that I saw, but it mostly covers everything that I wanted to talk about here. But let's talk about it here. Aaron Rodgers is trending on the internet, and this time it's because of an accusation that's been made against him. The star quarterback of the New York Jets suffered an Achilles injury in the early 2023 season, leading him to be out on injured reserve. However, recently Aaron Rodgers has been accused of faking his injury. The accusation becomes a serious topic of conversation since it comes from the columnist of the Indianapolis Star. So, it's from the Indianapolis Star here, so let me just go into that. So this actually comes from Greg Doyle, who works for the Indianapolis Star. He's a columnist for them. But he believes that the 4-time NFL MVP is a bad guy, a science denier, an anti-vaxxer, and apparently a bold-faced liar. The Indianapolis Star columnist is accusing Rodgers of being deceitful about the injury that left him sidelined since September 11th. Doyle says he doesn't believe the New York Jets quarterback actually tore his Achilles, and I've got the tweet right here. So basically he says, I don't believe for a second he suffered a torn Achilles, at least not as we know what a torn Achilles is. Whatever Kevin Durant, Kobe, and Brandon Graham suffered, he did not, because this procedure would be trumpeted as a breakthrough, not treated as a secret, plus he's a liar. Now, I don't know per se if this is something that Greg Doyle is basically saying this just because, he's trying to create like a political statement or something like that. And I don't know how he feels about Aaron Rodgers as a whole, but here's my thing about this whole thing. And this is a big question. Why would Aaron Rodgers fake an injury in his first season with the Jets? I mean, this isn't like Deshaun Watson, who has $250 million in guaranteed money and has played the last couple weeks before they cut him, before they essentially shut him down for the season. Like, he doesn't have a care in the world. Like, he doesn't really have to play. But But I digress. My whole thinking of not believing this to be true at all basically comes down to the assumption that Aaron Rodgers basically had to go into this darkness retreat after he lost the season to the Packers, to the Lions in the regular season finale last year, to consider whether or not he'd even want to come back to football. And then he eventually decides he goes to the Jets. So he brings all these people over from the New York Jets. He reunites with the offensive coordinator he had a lot of success with the Jets, Nathaniel Hackett. So why would he fake an injury for no reason whatsoever? I mean, what would be the overall goal of this? To fake an injury? Like, did he think that this was going to be some kind of elaborate scheme where, he fakes an injury and he gives Zach Wilson the courage to go out there and be the person that everybody thought he was going to be? Like the fact that he's going to be that guy that everyone wants him to be, but really, what's the thinking behind this? Like, really, why would anybody fake their injury? Especially a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who probably still wants to, I would assume still wants to play. I mean, why would he go to the New York Jets why would he go to the New York Jets all to have this say, I'm going to fake an injury in the first game of the season and not come back? I mean, like, is he doing this to get revenge on the Jets? Like, hey, they can't touch me. They can only touch everybody else and get rid of them. But, like, the Jets can't get rid of anybody else. Like, if the Jets really thought that Zach Wilson was the best person in that room that gives them a chance to winning, how do they feel now, 2 months later, that nobody that they have on there can help them win? Because right now, they are in such a disastrous position right now. Like, they are in such a catastrophic level of badness right now. Like, you can't really get rid of anybody because you have to have Aaron Rodgers come back at some point with this staff here. I don't think you can get rid of them. I don't think you can get rid of Robert Saleh real quick. I don't think you can get rid of, Nathaniel Hackett or any of these guys that they hire in here. I don't think they'd even try to go after a first-round quarterback in this draft coming up if they really wanted to move on from Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson, because you're stuck right now. You're stuck right now because you don't know whether or not you have to. I feel like they're going to have to wait and see what happens with Aaron Rodgers going forward. Like, they have to wait and see what transpires the next season. It's going to be like watching Russell Wilson all over again with Denver, except in that case, Russell Wilson has been looking a lot better for Denver since then. Even though they lost today to Houston, they were still in a way better position than they were last year. And I feel like that the season is there's still a pretty good chance they can make the playoffs, especially with how bad some of the other teams are. The Cleveland Browns right now, and of course Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. And I'm not going to delve into that because that was, today was not a good day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Never mind the fact that they lost to a 2-10 Arizona Cardinals team, but half the team got injured. Kenny Pickett is out now for pretty much the majority of the season now. Yeah, I'm not going to do that because I want to keep my sanity for at least a couple more, for at least for a little bit more. But it'll get to the point where I can't take it anymore. But I'm going to make it not today. So anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers. I'm just going to say right now, like, I really don't think Aaron Rodgers thinks that that's a good idea, that he would fake his own injury on night one and just have Zach Wilson take control throughout the rest of the way. I mean, there's no way I think that's true. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is looking at this and thinking that that's a smart decision on his part to fake an injury. Like, if he thought this whole idea of faking an injury was going to be so great for him, then why is he trying to get back in there now? He's only trying to get back in now because the team is struggling big time without him there. Plus, what would the benefit of coming back at this point be for him? Like, this isn't like the preseason. Like, in the preseason, you understand why he wants to be there, so he can get accustomed to this new team that he has to play with. But it's the point of the season where you literally have nothing else to play for. You're going to be eliminated pretty soon. So, what's the point of even coming back? None of this makes a whole lot of sense to me. And quite frankly, I would be shocked if he tries to make a comeback now. But maybe next year. We'll see what happens, but I really don't think he's faking that injury. I mean, that'd be really stupid of him to do just that, but, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that, but, let's go ahead and move on to our next story, and that is revolving around, just some stuff I saw over the course of the week. So in this case, there's not really a whole lot in terms of the news stories of the week to talk about, but something that I saw a lot on my Facebook and on YouTube this week was, I don't know what it is, but I saw a ton of videos where people were doing nothing but rolling bottles over some stairs, and you wouldn't think that there wouldn't be anything too unique or too interesting about it, but there's a ton of videos online on here where people are just using, like, bottles, just rolling them over the steps and seeing how many times. It's basically to see how many times the bottle can stay intact before it eventually breaks, because most of the time it will eventually break. But they call it like some ASMR, and I have one compilation here in particular. I'll tell you what I'm talking about here, but I'll let you listen to some of it beforehand. So let's go ahead and take a listen to this. So you hear the glass breaking, and it's various things. Like sometimes it'll be like a jug of water, or a jug of pop, or a jug of Pepsi, jug of Coca-Cola, a jug of Fanta. Like, these are big jugs too. Like, it's not just like a regular size, like you get like a milk jug. No, it's like the size of like a big coin jar. And what I just let you listen to there, somebody had a jar of Dominoes inside of the thing, and it rolled down there, and it only took like one time for it to break. So let me go ahead and play that again. Yeah, see, that one didn't even last one step. It just one step and, like, breaks all over the place. But it keeps going from there. Now, they've got sand right here. And this person here has 2 jugs of sand. And sometimes it's just fascinating to just listen to how many times the thing can keep rolling down the steps until it eventually breaks. So let's listen to this. So one jug broke, but the other one is still intact, and that took like 7 steps for it to break. So there is something kind of fascinating about this, and quite frankly, I don't know what it is, but I can't I can't really look away. It's kind of like the equivalent of not quite the equivalent, but it's kind of like that scene in Clerks 2 where Rosario Dawson's character sees them doing the Kinky Kelly and the Sexy Stud dance show inside the restaurant, and she's like, "I'm disgusted and I'm repulsive, and yet I can't look away." It's not quite that bad, but it feels like kind of like that. Let's see if I can get to the ones with the pop inside. Alright, so I found one. This is the one I see on Facebook, too. It's from someone, P-O-T-E. And you look at this, and they have this big jug of Coca-Cola. That's like a size of like a thing you used to keep. You keep a ton of you keep your coin inside, but it's like a big jug of Coca-Cola, and I've seen, like, they put, like, they'll take, like, various bottles of, smaller bottles of Coca-Cola and just put it in this big jug, and then they'll roll it like that, but, I've got the video right here. This is this big jug right here, and they're like a thing that has, like, a couple of steps overall, but let's listen. Yeah, see, like that one, it didn't take more than one for the thing to fall off. And I've seen videos where people have it rolled up and the glass is already breaking. They're just like, fucking just roll it over and it just breaks automatically. There's like Coke all over the steps here. But, is there any more for this one? Here's another one. Now, that one is like a bunch of beads inside of it, and it took like 7-8 rolls pretty much. Like, these are very fascinating videos for some reason. I don't know what it is, and I was trying to figure out for the longest time what makes these so fascinating to listen to and, like, observe them, because they're all really are the same thing, and there should not be anything that fascinating about this overall. Especially like me, who works in a grocery store, and we always have these things all the time where, like, glass breaks and somebody has to go clean it up, usually me, and it's not usually the best thing to do. It's not anyone's favorite thing to do, especially not mine, but, you gotta take responsibility for that, so, but you clean it up, and, like, it's a pain in the butt. It's really a pain in the butt to do, because you have to make sure that all the glass is off the floor. You have to make sure that there's a way you can clean it up. Like, you could just use paper towels, or you can use what we use at our store, Spill Magic, where if it's like a wine or like a sauce or something like that, we just usually have to like put some stuff on there, grab a mop and grab like a scrubber and all that, and it usually just cleans up right off the bat. But yeah, this would not be too fascinating for me whatsoever. But every time I see these videos, I get so invested in what's going on here. Like, there is something just kind of fascinating about this whole thing. And I really was thinking for a lot this week, why am I so fascinated by this? Why do I get so invested in this, in these type of things? And then it finally hit me. it kind of reminded me so much of what they used to do on with David Letterman. Like, David Letterman used to have these things back in the early years of David Letterman. Like, this is late night with David Letterman stuff we're talking about here. We would crush some stuff with like a steamroller, or crush things off an 80-ton hydraulic press, or have a train come by and they just crush stuff on that. Dropping stuff off of a 5-story building, that type of stuff. I've got some stuff right here I'll show you. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So let's go ahead and take a look right here.
Make a nice carpet patch. The thread's gone. How about a saxophone, okay?
So in this particular video that I'm showing you, that I'm letting you listen to here, he's got David Letterman and company have got this steamroller, and they're just steamrolling over various things. They showed a thing in the beginning where somebody said, "How about a pack of assorted donuts?" And you see David Letterman with this pack of like donuts, like you would see a Hostess donuts, puts it underneath the steamroller. The steamroller goes by a couple of times, and the thing gets flattened all over the place. Like, it's like the donuts are just completely gone. And now somebody's suggesting, "How about a French horn?" And this is what happens. A saxophone, pretty much. See, like, at first, the saxophone barely is lucky to survive, but then sooner or later just succumbs to getting smashed by the steamroller, which, actually, the more I think about it, I think The Simpsons actually took that inspiration from when they did the Lisa Sax episode. Because, like, that's what happens with Lisa Sax at the beginning of the episode. Like, the saxophone flies out into the middle of the street, and the steamroller comes by, gets run over, and I think they took from that. I mean, I could be thinking a little too much there, but that's what I'm thinking of when I think about this. But this is the next thing here. Sorry about that. But this next thing right here, I think is very funny. This guy is suggesting, "What about a Smurf?" And you've got this Smurf plush that's getting ready to be hit by the steamroller. I don't know what they thought was going to happen to it, but if you see the video, you can see what it is. But I'll let you listen in. So, like, the Smurf gets smashed by the steamroller, and I think that when they go back from it, it just floats back up again. Like, it doesn't even get affected by what's there. It just comes back up. It comes back up after that.
You see, it takes more than 37,000 pounds to keep these lovable little fellas down. More than a watch, actually. It's a chronometer.
So they're doing a watch now. And he says it's still ticking, even though when you look at it, it doesn't even look like the watch is in one piece anymore. It looks like it's all over the place. But little things like that. Let me see if I can find the other ones that I wanted to cover on that. Okay, so one guy suggests making a pizza with a steamroller. So they show you how they make this pizza with a steamroller, and it's pretty hilarious.
Okay, that's a great idea. A thin crust, you want the real thin crust? The thinner the better. Okay, for a really thin
So they got a thing of Crisco. Like, it just explodes as soon as the thing gets close to the thing. Yeah, like the Crisco thing is just completely gone. Like, it's just dough all over the place. And now they have the dough. And like this, I think they threw this sauce in there too. Just got a bag of mozzarella cheese, sliced mushroom cans, and some butter and pepperoni all over the place.
Okay. And then you simply serve it with a shovel.
And it looks like the most disgusting pizza you'll ever see. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to find the one where they talk about how somebody asked, how about a keg of beer, like a cooler of beer. I'm trying to see if I can find it here. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? It was actually in that same bit I just showed you with the pizza. So, dude, it's just like, how about a styrofoam cooler of beer? So they take a styrofoam cooler of beer, they have it set up, and the steamroller is just getting ready. So, like, so even before the steamroller hits the beer, the cooler's already destroyed. But the beer is like, as soon as the beer gets involved with the steamroller, the thing's just like squirting out all over the place. Like, I miss stuff like this, man. Like, I think this was fascinating stuff back in the day. So right now, there's another one I wanted to talk about. There's somebody suggested, how about Barbie's Dream House? So it cuts to a Barbie's Dream House set with Barbie and Ken just sitting on their patio, just like they do in the movie. And you figure, how is this going to work? Like, how is the steamroller going to roll this over? And let's take a look and see how they do it, or take a listen to see how they do it. You can check the video out for yourself, but it is pretty hilarious what happens, though. And this is already set up, too. This isn't like something that's still in the box or something. This is like if your kid was taking it out to play with it right off the bat. So how the hell are they going to squish this, you might ask? It's already falling apart. Like, it's just like standing on the top of the steamroller. And then you cut away to it. I'm guessing maybe it's just TV magic overall. But, like, that set, well, eventually it does come to it. But it takes, like, a long, long time for it to get to that point. And the Barbie doll's like completely squished. But like I said, there'd be other times when he'd do some other stuff similar to that. Like the thing that he did with the hydraulic press. He would always go back to this place, like it's some place outside of New York, and they have this 80-ton hydraulic press, and they just like crush all these different things here. Like I'll let you listen to some of this. They got like a lamp right here with a clown lamp, and like it's this thing that's just crushing the lamp. And like, like the lamp's pretty much destroyed at this point, but like stuff like that. And then there's like the next thing they do is like, let's take some squashes, and like they show like these squashes getting like literally squashed, and like the stuff inside the squash is just spewing out like mucus. Like, it's a mess. And then they do, like, hey, let's make hot dogs. And then, yeah, so they got the pork and beans, they got the franks, they got the buns all together. And then they're like, don't forget the mustard.
Oh, geez, I almost forgot. The mustard.
I always like how they have to get away if something, like, squirts out, or, like, some glass pops out. Like, it's a disgusting looking mess, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, it's something I kind of would like to do at some point, to try to, like, if I could find a way to go to one of these places and do something like this, I would do this in a heartbeat. So yeah, just stuff like that. Like, I miss stuff like that, and I think that's what a lot of people take from those get inspired to do when they do those bottle videos. And I think they took a lot of inspiration solely from these videos of what David Letterman used to do, and among with other things as well. But that's just what I always think about. That's what I was thinking about when I was thinking about why I was so fascinated by these videos. But yeah, nothing too exciting about that. Just something I thought was interesting I saw over the week. So with that said, let's keep going. So, of course, it is December, and that means that we're pretty much in the thick of Christmas. I mean, Christmas is at the end of the month. Everywhere you go, movies, television, the stores, your radios, like, it's all about Christmas time right now. I mean, there's no way to get around it now. But we always have those holiday specials and movies that we always go back to, whether it's Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Charlie Brown Christmas, Home Alone, Elf, Santa Claus, Polar Express, Christmas Carol. There's a lot to choose from, and I do my best to try to catch all my favorite ones at least once a year. Like, I do my best to try to keep up with everything, try to make it an annual thing. And then there's some of those specials that are not really all that great, but every year I still end up watching them, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them, but mostly because they're there. And one of the ones that shows up every single year and is not seen as one of the great ones overall, but it's one that it's definitely worth talking about, and apparently it's got a big fan base, because every year since I did a post of it over on the main website, it's always one of the highest rated, highest viewed posts I've had on there. Like, there is a demand that people that really took to this special that I'm about to talk about here, and that is 1992's Frosty Returns, which is billed as the official sequel to Frosty the Snowman, official in quotation marks, because they've had like 3 different specials that are supposed to be the official sequel to Frosty the Snowman, which you really can't tell which one is which. But Frosty Returns, if you don't know what this is a crit special that aired back in 1992, like I said. Featured John Goodman as the voice of Frosty the Snowman and Jonathan Winters as the narrator. Featured some other notable people behind it, mostly Bill Melendez, who worked on the Charlie Brown specials, music by Mark Mothersbaugh, who does the score for the Rugrats and most of the classic Schuster shows. Some different animation voice legends overall. I mean, there are some notable names in the cast as well, like Brian Doyle Murray, Jan Hooks, and I think Nora Dunn is in here as well. Andrea Martin, Elizabeth Moss, who you know now from Mad Men, back when she was a child actress, is in one of the main characters in this movie. And it's one of those specials that is never really seen as a classic, but it's always the one that's shown every single year opposite Frosty the Snowman on CBS. Like, it's interesting. Like, if you watch this on YouTube TV, they won't let you watch Frosty the Snowman on CBS. Like, I've always found that bizarre that it's like that, because it's like when Frosty the Snowman comes on TV, I want to watch it on YouTube TV, so I watch it on there. I try to watch it on there, and then it's just like, you can't watch this program on here, and it never gives you an explanation why that is. But you can't watch that program, you can't watch the good Frosty the Snowman special, but you can go ahead and watch Frosty Returns, which is, there's a lot to talk about with this one. A lot of stuff that's well worth talking about, so why not discuss it here? There's a lot of moments in here that make in the special that don't make a whole lot of sense overall, so, figure why not talk about this for a little bit here, and we can go right ahead and just get right to it, and start off with one of the most interesting, bizarre things about this at the beginning, and that's the fact that it opens up with a narration by Jonathan Winters, which isn't that weird per se, but it definitely has some things about the opening is very interesting, to say the least. Let's go ahead and take a listen to it.
Ride a bike. Me, I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy. Stick to what I know. Snowflakes. I know it's not for everyone, but so long as you pack light, and wear at least 3 layers of undies, it's a lovely way to spend a winter.
So it starts off with him narrating the story on a snowflake, and the snow that is falling in CG. But for some reason, if you watch this on CBS, for some reason they cut the CG out, and you're basically just looking at a blue screen of nothingness. So the first time I watched this, I had no idea what the heck was going on, and I had no idea, like, did something happen? Is like the digital connection going on or something? But no, they cut the snow out for no reason. Like, it's gone for reasons that are beyond me. The snow doesn't look terrible per se. I mean, it looks like 1990 CG effects when. It doesn't look that bad overall, and you would think that the fact that this has been airing since 1992, somebody at CBS would have figured that out, and it's just weird that they have that there. But once we move along, but trust me, that's the least of the special's problems, as we'll continue to talk about as we move along here. So we got the opening, and you have Mark Mothersbaugh doing a decent rendition of the Frosty the Snowman theme song, but at the same time, it's hard not to listen to this and not think of Rugrats. You'll hear what I mean. Take a listen to this. Like, you hear what I mean? Like, you hear that little, the second ba 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 ba, and it sounds like something you would hear on Rugrats, and that's something that pretty much is all over the special too. Like, whenever you hear that music, and the fact that it's the same guy that does Rugrats, it's hard not to think of that overall. But and also it's not hard not to think that this is like a Charlie Brown special that takes place outside of the Charlie Brown universe, because all the kids look like Charlie Brown characters. But as we continue on, a snow day hits the town of Beansboro, and of course the kids are happy that the snow is falling, while the adults are ready to throw their shit to the wall at the thought of shoveling snow again. They go into this musical number where the kids are all happy about the snow, and the parents are just like, shut the fuck up, I hate shoveling snow. And we then meet our main character in this, who's Harley DiCarlo, played by, like I said, a pre-Mad Men Elizabeth Moss. And she goes on. She has her friend Charles, who who looks kind of like a male version of Peppermint Patty's best friend Marcy in a way. Like, she literally looks like if Marcy had a sex change. This is what this kid would look like. Yeah, listen in.
Polly, why aren't you playing outside? Wasn't invited.
Neither
was I.
Apparently, you have to be invited to go outside and play in the snow instead of, I don't know, just going out there and playing in the snow. But she's in there perfecting her magic trick, and I never saw this until a couple of years ago. I want you to look at this very closely, what I'm about to show you. So let's go ahead and get to that point.
Let's go outside and make a fertility goddess. Maybe later. Right now we've got to rehearse for the...
There's a bear in the background that's literally giving the audience the middle finger. Like, it looks like... I know what you're thinking. It looks like he's got his, thumbs up, but look at the positioning of that. Look at the position of where the thumb is. And tell me that does not look like he's flipping you off. Like, I swear, I just noticed this in the last couple of years, and I'm just kind of like, what the heck what the heck is that? It's just like, wow, they really threw that in there. Like, it's literally like they're telling the viewer, hey, go fuck yourself. Like, you don't like this? Go fuck yourself. It's pretty amusing that that's in there. I'd never noticed that until now. And that's just something I saw that I thought was kind of amusing. But so she goes out to get her hat, and her friend Charles and she goes after the hat after her and him lose it, and while practicing for the Winter Carnival, and they come across her bitter teacher played by Andrea Martin, who talks about these crazy theories about how snow works. Like let's go ahead and play it to show you what I mean.
Tomorrow's composition. Right now, Miss Carbuncle has a sidewalk to plow. Before you know it, this darn snow turns into slush. And where there's slush, there's ice. And where there's ice, there's broken hips. And where there's broken hips, there's substitute teachers.
Miss Carbuncle, if you should see my hat...
Not that I don't like the snow, just prefer it in its proper place, like on mountaintops, and poetry, and songs by Bing Crosby.
Like, you just start to notice right away that she doesn't give a crap about what this girl is talking about. She's literally telling her, hey, if you've seen my hat, and she keeps going on this snow rant, which is just like you'll notice right away as we move along here that the adults in this special really do not give a fuck about what the hell is going on here. But I digress. So, of course, it is December, and that means that we're pretty much in the thick of Christmas. I mean, Christmas is at the end of the month. Everywhere you go, movies, television, the stores, your radios, it's all about Christmas time right now. I mean, there's no way to get around it now. But we always have those holiday specials and movies that we always go back to, whether it's Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Charlie Brown Christmas, Home Alone, Elf, Santa Claus, Polar Express, Christmas Carol. There's a lot to choose from, and I do my best to try to catch all my favorite ones at least once a year. I do my best to try to keep up with everything, try to make it an annual thing. And then there's some of those specials that are not really all that great, but every year I still end up watching them, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them, but mostly because they're there. And one of the ones that shows up every single year and is not seen as one of the great ones overall, but it's one that it's definitely worth talking about. And apparently it's got a big fan base, because every year since I did a post of it over on the main website, it's always one of the highest viewed posts I've had on there. There is a demand that people that really took to this special that I'm about to talk about here, and that is 1992's Frosty Returns, which is billed as the official sequel to Frosty the Snowman, official in quotation marks, because they've had 3 different specials that are supposed to be the official sequel to Frosty the Snowman, which you really can't tell which one is which. But Frosty Returns, if you don't know what this is a crit special that aired back in 1992, like I said. Featured John Goodman as the voice of Frosty the Snowman and Jonathan Winters as the narrator. Featured some other notable people behind it, mostly Bill Melendez, who worked on the Charlie Brown specials, music by Mark Mothersbaugh, who does the score for the Rugrats and most of the classic Schuster shows. Some different animation voice legends overall. I mean, there are some notable names in the cast as well, like Brian Doyle Murray, Jan Hooks, and I think Nora Dunn is in here as well. Andrea Martin, Elizabeth Moss, who you know now from Mad Men, back when she was a child actress, is in one of the main characters in this movie. And it's one of those specials that is never really seen as a classic, but it's always the one that's shown every single year opposite Frosty the Snowman on CBS. Like, it's interesting. Like, if you watch this on YouTube TV, they won't let you watch Frosty the Snowman on CBS. Like, I've always found that bizarre that it's like that, because it's like when Frosty the Snowman comes on TV, I want to watch it on YouTube TV, so I watch it on there. I try to watch it on there, and then it's just like, you can't watch this program on here, and it never gives you an explanation why that is. But you can't watch that program, you can't watch the good Frosty the Snowman special, but you can go ahead and watch Frosty Returns, which is, there's a lot to talk about with this one. A lot of stuff that's well worth talking about, so why not discuss it here? There's a lot of moments in here that make in the special that don't make a whole lot of sense overall, so, figure why not talk about this for a little bit here, and we can go right ahead and just get right to it, and start off with one of the most interesting, bizarre things about this at the beginning, and that's the fact that it opens up with a narration by Jonathan Winters, which isn't that weird per se, but it definitely has some things about the opening is very interesting, to say the least. Let's go ahead and take a listen to it.
Ride a bike. Me, I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy. Stick to what I know. Snowflakes. I know it's not for everyone, but so long as you pack light, and wear at least 3 layers of undies, it's a lovely way to spend a winter.
So it starts off with him narrating the story on a snowflake, and the snow that is falling in CG. But for some reason, if you watch this on CBS, for some reason they cut the CG out, and you're basically just looking at a blue screen of nothingness. So the first time I watched this, I had no idea what the heck was going on, and I had no idea, like, did something happen? Is like the digital connection going on or something? But no, they cut the snow out for no reason. Like, it's gone for reasons that are beyond me. The snow doesn't look terrible per se. I mean, it looks like 1990 CG effects when it doesn't look that bad overall, and you would think that the fact that this has been airing since 1992, somebody at CBS would have figured that out, and it's just weird that they have that there, but once we move along, but trust me, that's the least of the special's problems, as we'll continue to talk about as we move along here. So we got the opening, and you have Mark Mothersbaugh doing a decent rendition of the Frosty the Snowman theme song, but at the same time, it's hard not to listen to this and not think of Rugrats. You'll hear what I mean. Take a listen to this. Like, you hear what I mean? Like, you hear that little, the second ba, and it sounds like something you would hear on Rugrats, and that's something that pretty much is all over the special, too. Like, whenever you hear that music, and the fact that it's the same guy that does Rugrats, it's hard not to think of that overall, but, especially, and also it's not hard not to think that this is like a Charlie Brown special that takes place outside of the Charlie Brown universe, because all the kids look like Charlie Brown characters. But as we continue on, a snow day hits the town of Beansboro, and of course the kids are happy that the snow is falling, while the adults are ready to throw their shit to the wall at the thought of shoveling snow again. They go into this musical number where the kids are all happy about the snow, and the parents are just like, shut the fuck up, I hate shoveling snow. And we then meet our main character in this, who's Harley DiCarlo, played by, like I said, a pre-Mad Men Elizabeth Moss. And she goes on, she has her friend Charles, who looks kind of like a male version of Peppermint Patty's best friend Marcy in a way. Like, she literally looks like if Marcy had a sex change. This is what this kid would look like. Yeah, listen in.
Holly, why aren't you playing outside? Wasn't invited. Neither was I.
Apparently, you have to be invited to go outside and play in the snow instead of, I don't know, just going out there and playing in the snow. But she's in there perfecting her magic trick, and I never saw this until a couple of years ago. I want you to look at this very closely, what I'm about to show you. So let's go ahead and get to that point.
Let's go outside and make a fertility goddess. Maybe later. Right now we've got to rehearse for the...
There's a bear in the background that's literally giving the audience the middle finger. Like, it looks like... I know what you're thinking. It looks like he's got his, thumbs up, but look at the positioning of that. Look at the position of where the thumb is. And tell me that does not look like he's flipping you off. Like, I swear, I just noticed this in the last couple of years, and I'm just kind of like, what the heck what the heck is that? It's just like, wow, they really threw that in there. Like, it's literally like they're telling the viewer, "Hey, go fuck yourself." Like you don't like this, go fuck yourself. It's pretty amusing that that's in there. I'd never noticed that until now. And that's just something I saw that I thought was kind of amusing. But so she goes out to get her hat, and her friend Charles and she goes after the hat after her and him lose it, and while practicing for the Winter Carnival, and they come across her bitter teacher, played by Andrea Martin, who talks about these crazy theories about how snow works. Like, let's go ahead and play it to show you what I mean.
The story for tomorrow's composition. Right now, Miss Carbuncle has a sidewalk to plow. Before you know it, this darn snow turns into slush. And where there's slush, there's ice. And where there's ice, there's broken hips. And where there's broken hips, there's substitute teachers.
Miss Carbuncle, if you should see my hat.
Not that I don't like the snow, just prefer it in its proper place, like on mountaintops, and poetry, and songs by Bing Crosby.
Like, you just start to notice right away that she doesn't give a crap about what this girl is talking about. Like, she's literally telling her, "Hey, if you've seen my hat," she keeps going on this snow rant, which is just like you'll notice right away as we move along here that the adults in this special really do not give a fuck about what the hell is going on here. But I digress. So this, for some reason, makes Holly so upset that she starts crying. I guess they don't really go into detail about why that is, but we finally do get introduced to Frosty, which I gotta say is not bad casting for John Goodman to play Frosty. I think, yeah, he looks much different compared to other versions of Frosties in the past, but as far as a voice goes, it's not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. Like, I could definitely see him playing that role. But as soon as you meet Frosty, you start to see some of the interesting problems that this movie sets up right away. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and continue on here.
Oh, no, you don't. You want to take some, take the tie. Unless you think I need it. How do you well dress for this winter carnival anyway? I mean, I don't want to underdress. But if I could get away with a tank top or something more cash.
Who are you?
The name's Frosty.
Dead. He took his hat off. He should be dead at this point. Like, it's at this point where the shit really starts to hit the fan. As I insert an airplane joke where the shit literally goes into the fan because I'm too lazy to go find it at this moment. But he takes off his hat, and I'm sorry, but wasn't the point of the first special to keep the bad guy from getting Frosty's hat that's keeping him alive? I mean, he has the ability to take off his magic hat at any time at all, which, according to the original special, immediately causes him to revert back to being an inanimate snowman in the original version and the other sequels as well. I counted. It happens 4 times over the course of this special, and nobody addresses it whatsoever. But you know what? It gets even stranger than that, because I was right before. It was Jan Hooks, not Nora Dunn. But Holly's mother, who's played by Jan Hooks, the late Jan Hooks, rest in peace, comes to her and shows her a new invention called Summerweeze. And I'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk about how this scene begins, because I want you to notice something that happens when she's showing off this product here. And let me see if I can go find the clip for it right here. Here it is.
Mambo.
Holly! Well, there you are. You locked your best friend in a box and just ran off. Now, how are you going to feel when poor Charles grows up and has to join a support group?
I'm sorry, Mom. I ran out because...
Here, take one of these cans and start spraying.
Mom, this is Frosty.
Well, I'm sure he is.
Like, she's spraying this stuff, and Frosty is still moving. Like, nobody notices this snowman that's moving around here. I'm sure somebody around her would have noticed, hey, that snowman is moving on its own. What the hell is going on here? But, trust me, it gets stranger than that, because as soon as that happens, this happens later on.
Family, didn't ya? Huh, didn't ya? Lil, how did you get that sidewalk of yours so clean? You won't believe this, Merle, but I never had to lift a shovel. You're kidding. Watch this. Incredible.
So, I'm sorry, but the correct response from her mother should have been, Holy Mother of God, there's a moving talking snowman standing next to my door. My whole perception of reality is completely disoriented in every way, shape, or form. But no, her reaction is, whatever, it's cool. And, like, the neighbor has no real perception on what the hell is going on here. Like, the clip is paused literally with the neighbor having this look on her face like she just took some drugs before she met her up. It's just like incredible. what was those commercials with, like, the slow talking, like, I'm trying to think of what it is. I can't remember what it was, but she's talking like a deadpan, like a Stephen Wright type of deadpan. It's just like, the whole Summer Weeds concept, I can understand this being kind of a major plot point, because this was around the time when we had a plethora of environmental kids movies in the early 90s, stuff like Ferngully the Last Rainforest. We had all these specials talking about, protect the environment and all that type of stuff, and there were a bunch of them back then, but the concept of Summer Weeds, doesn't that remind you of the plot of Envy? So, you're meaning to tell me that Barry Levinson took the idea of a spray that makes something go away with just a spray can, and nobody knows where the hell it goes? Did Barry Levinson really take it from that? Something to think about here, but of course the part that gets to me is that Frosty yells when the stuff hits him. Nobody can tell it's him screaming, and even then, they're more fascinated with stuff being sprayed by a can. Can you see why I'm saying that this gets stranger and stranger as we move along here? And it gets so ridiculous as we keep going. But after that, we meet our main villain, who's Mr. Twitchell, played by Brian Doyle Murray, who does not have a mustache to twitch, which I think that's a missed opportunity. Why is he named Twitchell then, if you're not going to have him literally have a mustache to twitch? Like, like, I'm going to go take you into, instead tie you up to a railroad track. Like, because that's used to, going back to old villain stereotypes back then. But yeah, his evil plan is to have all the snow gone by the time of the Winter Carnival, which would make his product kind of obsolete, except in snowstorms, depending on where this takes place, would move more likely to be used again, once and never again. But so as the special continues into the second act, Frosty's able to survive these trucks that have Summer Weeds around somehow. Like, I literally think Snoopy's doghouse is right around the corner. I still think this probably takes place around Charlie Brown's neighborhood, because how the heck would he survive this when you see these trucks all over the place, like, spraying stuff around here? And every commercial break is just like, oh no, what are we going to do about Frosty? He's going to melt. And then as soon as they get back, it's just like, oh, it's okay. He survived the first night. And then this is a Bill Melendez directed special, so it wouldn't surprise me if Snoopy's doghouse was somewhere we can go hide. But then Holly hides Frosty in her fridge, which is able to fit a man-sized talking snowman, and does not have a separate thing for its freezer and the fridge, which this must be a cheap refrigerator if that's not the case. But it gets even weirder from there, because Holly brings the ham to school because of Frosty being in the fridge. Why, out of everything else that she took out, did she take that for the teacher to call her out for it? Like, and then she literally just forgets about it as Holly's friend Charles talks about the importance of winter. And then for some reason, those kids that were so happy in the beginning about snow have this miraculous 360-degree turn. Like, they become the most hypocritical people ever and decide that, oh, we hate snow now and we want summer to come. So listen to this.
In our environment, it is a major source of fresh water.
Like, they're all bored, and Holly's the only one who's just like, this is very fascinating stuff. She's got, like, her hands like you do when you're listening to somebody, just like, I'm very fascinated by this. Please continue.
The Earth, and without it, life on this planet would soon disappear. Isn't that right, Miss Carbuncle? Miss Carbuncle?
Got the teacher sleeping.
Any questions?
Yeah, I don't think snow's so important. My dad says it causes heart attacks.
He must have snow confused with chili dogs.
Burn, I guess. Was his dad Sonic the Hedgehog? I mean, I don't get that. Like, I'm guessing that's a way to burn somebody, but yeah, I don't think that's a way to do it. But I'm getting to the point that I want to talk about here.
Any other questions?
I think it should only snow one day a year for the winter carnival. After that, I wish it would melt so we could have 10 months summer vacation. Yeah, that'd be right. All right.
Like, they're literally turning on the thing that they were literally praising at the beginning of the movie. It's like, what happened between the original song and this scene? Did the parents just force the kids to hate snow, or they'll take away their iPods and all that? Then again, this is 1990. I don't even think people use iPods anymore. Like, I'll take away your internet service or Wi-Fi connection. But then again, this did take place in 1992, so it'd be like, no more Super Nintendo for you if you don't start hating snow, or they take away their toys or ground them or something. Like, there's no indication between this scene and the opening song where the kids all of a sudden decide that we're going to change our ways and we're just supposed to accept it. Like, you'd almost think that this is written by the same guy that gave us Pretty Little Liars, and yeah, it is. Oliver Goldstick wrote this, and he created Pretty Little Liars, which is a show that was on Freeform for a number of years as a teeny soap opera that has characters with multiple personality changes happens, and yeah, I think you know where I'm coming from about that, but I digress. Let's continue on here. So, Holly meets up with Frosty again, who decides to just leave the fridge for no reason, and No problems whatsoever sneaking out of there or anything. The mother clearly doesn't give a crap at this point. So she meets up with the Winter Carnival, and again, nobody notices this giant talking snowman talking to this little girl, and it's just like, sooner or later, somebody in this town is going to have to notice this guy at some point. And then they start singing the main song of the special, which is Let There Be Snow, which is not a good song whatsoever. It's pretty generic and mediocre, but nowhere near as WTF as letting someone like Brian Doyle Murray, the brother of Bill Murray, rap. And this is not even a joke, and I'm going to let you listen to what I'm talking about here, because I could not believe that they actually did this. But they did, so let's keep going. Let me show you what I'm talking about, is what I want to say.
I thought once you made your fortune, you could sit back and count your loot. But now that I've conquered Greensboro, I'm ready to trade this suit. I want a crown that fits me. I want a cape that flows. 6 yards of fur and velvet, right down to my crooked toes.
This is like literally letting Brian Doyle Murray's character from Wayne's World rap. Like, remember that rap he had when he's trying to talk to Wayne about Noah's Arcade? Actually, let me go ahead and find that clip for you.
Yeah, I got a new one where I rap. Come bust a move where the games are played. It's chill, it's fresh, it's Noah's Arcade.
And they were doing that as a satirical joke. We're supposed to take this seriously. And it's just like, he's driving in his limousine, rapping about how he wants to be the king of winter by destroying it, which definitely sounds like politics, all right. Destroy the one thing that you're trying to conquer. But Charles eventually meets Frosty for the first time, and just like everybody else, he could give two shits about what's happening there. They all start dancing, and it's some of the most bizarre dancing ever. Like, this dancing makes Elaine's little kicks dance look saner compared to what I'm about to show you, to let you see here.
Come on, don't make me dance alone.
Like, they're not even doing anything. They just have their hands up in the air, and they're just moving their legs one side to is one foot from another. It's not even really dancing. Like, Elaine's dance from Seinfeld was more choreographed than this right here. I mean, that's how bad it is. But of course, Mr. Twitchell comes by, sees Frosty, and automatically decides, I need to kill this snowman. So instead of me doing it, I'm going to go send my cat out to spray him with the summer wheeze. So at first it seems like they got away. They managed to escape him at first, but then, all of a sudden, apparently the cat got to him beforehand. So you go back 12 seconds before the moment they go back to see that Frosty's been hit. Watch as Frosty and the kid sneak into the ice cube at the ice castle they have at the carnival. He makes it inside seconds before the cat comes by to spray him. So what happened? Did he turn into like a chest burster all of a sudden and just come and then started spraying them there? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but... And again, they have the commercial break where it's just like, oh no, will they be able to fix Frosty? There's no ice, there's no snow around here. But don't worry, Charles surprisingly had a big bag of snow that he was saving for an experiment. And he said, you know what, I don't need this, I'm going to give it to Frosty. Which is like, holding the tension there for only a couple minutes there, it doesn't really help your case. So yeah, as you can tell, logic takes a big step into you-know-what at this point, but it somehow gets even more insane than that. So... okay, so the day of the Winter Carnival finally arrives. It starts snowing like crazy, and hey, good news for Twitchell. He can use that to promote his summer wheeze. And once we actually get to the carnival, nobody gives a crap at all. Like, Holly's mother just reads like she's reading off a damn script, and she's not even doing it convincingly well. Like, you got Jan Hooks for this. I mean, show some class. Let's not even show some class. Give her something to do instead of just... like reading this softly, or like an awkward person would do, be like, welcome, one and all. Like, that's how she literally sounds whenever she's talking, and I got it right here.
And all to Beansboro's annual winter carnival. Before the festivities begin, I would just like to...
Like, even the music is like, okay, we're done with this. We gotta move along here, But then 30 seconds later, Holly gives a speech of what is supposed to be an important message about why snow is so important. And even when she does that, she doesn't give a shit. Like, John Goodman's the only one who's trying in this to save this, because like his name is on this puppy too. So, but listen to what I'm talking about here.
Your product is dangerous. What's convenient for today isn't always safe for tomorrow. We need snow just as much as we need rain or sunshine or clean air.
Little girl, I think your hat's too tight. Now, as I was saying...
I'm not finished, Mr. Twitchell. And unless unless you got a spray that makes little girls disappear, you're gonna have to listen.
Well, I don't have a spray, little girl, but I have this. It's called a gun. Now, as I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted. Now, that would have made this a whole lot funnier if he just suddenly takes this dark turn and, like, it just shoots the girl. Like, I've always thought that every time it gets to that point, like, so unless you have a spray that's going to be able to shut me out, I'm going to keep talking. It's just like, Twitchell should have been just like, as a matter of fact, I don't have a spray, but I do have this. And he just shoots the girl. Like, that's my dark sadistic side coming out of there. But, no, that doesn't happen. So finally, after 20 damn minutes, people are finally shocked that there's a friggin' talking snowman walking and dancing around. And only because Holly had her magic stuff with her, I guess, that's all that needs to impress this damn town. A hat, a cane, and a spray can. Like, this is one of the most pathetic towns I've ever seen before. And thus, everything is right with the world. Twitchell is defeated. And for some reason, before he turns into a good guy, he decides, you know what? I'm going to take this truck that I've been driving in. I'm going to try to run over and kill these kids. Because, like, there's a weird edit where he gets inside the truck, and then all of a sudden the truck is somehow on top of the ice castle. Like, what was his plan to begin with? Like, what was the plan? What was he going to do? Like destroy Frosty and the two kids and be like, that's how I'm going to win this battle. I have to knock these two kids and the snowman out. And, of course, that backfires big time. So, like I said, Twitchell's defeated, turns into a good guy. Frosty's named the king of the Winter Carnival, and he has to lead the kids once again. And, unlike before, they had a reason to leave. Like, he's just like, yeah, my work is done here, bye, and just leaves, and Jonathan Winters takes us out with another narration. And again, the original end credits with the lack of a snow, if you watch this on CBS, or the CG snow, takes us out. And that's it. Merry friggin' Christmas to you all. And, yeah, this is a weird special. I'm not gonna lie. It's a bad special. I mean, what was the point of this? You already had two decent follow-ups that kind of existed in the same world as the original Frosty the Snowman. But here, I guess the animation is okay. It is Bill Melendez animation, so you know it's going to be at least somewhat decent. The music is fine, but like I said, it's way too Rugrats-ish. The characters are so bland and forgettable. The environmental message just seems forced at times. But then again, they were all kind of forced in with other films around that time period. But then again, it doesn't help the characters just don't give a shit about what's going on. The story is just all over the place. And it would not surprise me if that relationship that CBS and the Peanuts Company have had with the studio ended, because that was around the time they stopped airing Peanuts specials. And I have a feeling that this was probably had a hand in ending that relationship. So this is a bad special, but it's one of those good kind of bads. It's kind of a guilty pleasure special the more I think about it. It's one of those ones you have to see to believe it, how bad and screwed up crazy it really is. The only real positive I can say about it is that John Goodman is putting his all into it. He's perfectly cast as Frosty, and like I said, he's the one that's really trying to put his hand on this and actually give it some memorability to it. And it's a bad special, but it's one that you kind of need to see to believe how bad it really is. But if you want a tolerable follow-up to the original Frosty the Snowman special, just go and watch Frosty's Winter Wonderland, or even Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, or hell, even Legend of Frosty the Snowman that came out a couple years after this. Seems more like a more logistical sequel to the original Frosty the Snowman than anything that this had. But, I don't know. It's one that I get a lot of views on the other channel, so I figure why not talk about it on here. So that's my pretty much full review for Frosty Returns. But let's keep going with because we have a couple more things to talk about before we get on out of here. So, of course, because we are at Christmas time, that means there's going to be a lot of different Christmas commercials on. Classic commercials, of course, like the Hershey's Kisses commercials, the two versions that we have, even though the other version where they mix two different commercials into one, I've never liked that one, because it just really feels unnecessary to have that in there. Is in that second part of the commercial. Like, just have the original ones with the Hershey Kisses doing We Wish You a Merry Christmas. That's the one that everyone wants to see. But we have newer commercials this year as well. One of the big ones is John Travolta doing kind of a Saturday Night Fever parody of Santa Claus with Capitol One, which is very fun, which I actually do kind of like. I do like that John Travolta is able to make fun of himself in that way. But Capitol One also has another commercial out this year featuring probably the icon of Christmas besides Santa Claus, and that is the Grinch, because no matter where you go, especially this year, there's a lot of Grinch stuff all over the place. Like, you can go anywhere and you'll find something related to the Grinch. Like, it'll be like a toy or even copies of the movie overall, but like, it is like, the Grinch is one of the icons of Christmas, no doubt about it. So, not surprising, there's going to be some commercials featuring the monster himself, Mr. Grinch. And there was a commercial for Capitol One. Now, there's a commercial where he shows up in there and in animated form, and you think that, okay, that's cool. The Grinch is showing up here. He kind of looks like the Chuck Jones Grinch in a way, but the commercial that's playing on TV, it baffles me for some reason. Like, I want to praise it for what they do, but at the same time, I have my questions about the animation overall here. So let me go ahead and play the commercial to show you what I'm talking about.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than this.
All right, who's going to deliver the toys to the kids?
Yoo-hoo!
Yeah, like it looks like the Chuck Jones animation, but the movement is so weird and bizarre. Like in the Chuck Jones animation, he did move more fluently than this. But, the voice work isn't bad either. Like, I don't know who's doing the voice for him, but it's not Benedict Cumberbatch. But it sounds like a mix between Benedict Cumberbatch and Boris Karloff in a way. But, let me keep going with this.
No. Sarah, you do it.
Really?
Yeah.
You steal the presents one time.
I've stolen them no times.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Pictures of Max. Yuck.
Like, it's a cute concept, but at the same time, the animation looks so weird on it. I don't know what it is, because I think it might be AI. I think it might be AI animation, because he moves in such a weird way. Like, it's not, like I said before, the Grinch in the original Chuck Jones animation moved much more smoother than this, but in here, it's like chopped down, like, it's like choppy animation. Like, I don't know what it is and all that, like, let me see if I can show you what I'm talking about here.
Really?
Yeah.
You steal the presents one time.
Yeah, like, he's got, like, a yo-yo, and you see, like, the teeth and all that, and just the way that he's moving, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what it is. It has to be some kind of artificial intelligence style animation that they use, but, like, it's just a weird movement that he has here. Like, it doesn't feel like it's being hand-drawn at the same time. It just feels like somebody is just putting this into, like, an AI thing and making it work that way, because it definitely feels weird the way his movements are, like the way he moves his hands and all that. And even at the end when he's talking about, oh, the pictures of Max, because Max is also in here too. And Max, I think he's moving at the same type of normal rate here.
No overdraft
Hold on.
fees.
Come on, there we go.
A decision? That's banking reimagined.
Yeah, Max is moving much better than the Grinch does, except towards the end there. But it's just so weird. I just don't know what type of animation they used on it, but from the image alone, it looks like the Chuck Jones animation. But at the same time, though, just the movements, just the way that the thing is moving, the Grinch is moving at like this really weird, choppy rate to it. I don't know what is going on there, but I don't know. I'm conflicted on this one. If someone out there knows what they did with it, please let me know. But other than that, though, it's just something that really took me off guard the first time I saw it. Like, I should be excited about this because it's live action animation again. It's the Chuck Jones looking Grinch, but just the movements and the way that he's moving around it's just weird. Like, I don't know how to feel about this, honestly. If you've seen this commercial, let me know what your thoughts on it too. But that's that commercial there. But we still have some more things to talk about with the Grinch here as we wrap this up here. So we just talked about the Grinch Capitol One commercial, but there was also another big Grinch thing that came out this year, and that is the sequel to How the Grinch Stole Christmas. We already talked about the sequel to Frosty the Snowman, but we have a sequel to the original Dr. Seuss book that came out this year, How the Grinch Lost Christmas. And I actually have the book right here, and if you don't believe me, listen to this. I don't know why you would believe me that I have the book, but I literally am holding the book right here. And so when I first heard about this and heard what the plot was, all I could think to myself is, oh, it's just sequelitis all over again. I mean, it literally sounds like a sequel to The Grinch, where they just have to redo the same thing all over again, change some things around, and that was my thinking going into this. And so basically what the story is, the Grinch has been patiently waiting all year to celebrate Christmas and to bring the Who's cheer, and to show every Who he was different now. I've changed, thought the Grinch, and I'll prove it, but how? So right there, you can tell it's a little bit of an opposite to what he said in the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I must stop Christmas from coming, but how? Then the Grinch sees an ad for Whoville's Christmas tree contest. That's it. The Grinch will prove he has changed by making the tallest, most spectacular Christmas tree the Who's have ever seen. But when things don't go as planned, will the Grinch return to his Grinchy ways, or can one special Who remind him of the true meaning of Christmas? And so this is not written by Dr. Seuss, Theodore Geisel. This is not written by him. This is actually written by Alistair Heim, who I'm going to be honest, I've never heard of, so I don't know if this person has written anything in particular that I would know of beforehand, but that's the person who's writing this. And so yeah, the whole concept of this is that basically the Grinch is going to enter this Christmas tree contest to prove to everybody that he's completely changed. And so basically, like, the whole story is about creating this Christmas tree and trying to create the most lavish Christmas tree in the world for this Christmas tree contest. He's working on this tree, and he's running it down to Whoville, and as the story goes on, we get to the Whoville Christmas contest. He's got, like, the biggest, tallest tree out of everybody there, and he ends up taking second place overall. So he feels a shock in his heart that grew 3 sizes the previous year had turned ice cold. He felt it started shrinking, and so it is told. That there in the square, all the Who's who were near it are certain that they saw it and sure they could hear it. I mean, I'm taking this straight from the book, and because of that, the fact that because he took second place in a Christmas tree contest, that was the moment the Grinch lost his Christmassy spirit. Again, sequelitis. I mean, it's pretty much the exact opposite of what happened with the previous film. Instead of his heart growing 3 sizes, because of second place in a Christmas contest, his heart grew shrunk 3 sizes, and he's just like, "Fucking, I'm going back to my old ways." And like, the end result of this is that Cindy Lou Who from the previous storyline is the winner of the contest, but basically they're trying to like kind of like what they've been doing with the most recent movies, the Jim Carrey one and the Benedict Cumberbatch one. Cindy Lou Who kind of becomes the voice of reason for the Grinch. She wins the contest, but then she takes the microphone from the mayor of the town, and I'm reading from the book here again. Cindy Lou Who grabs the Who horn to speak. "I want to make all of the Whoville a tree, with ornaments each of you Who's made for me. But there is one ornament missing, you see. The whole town of Whoville was there on each limb, except for the Grinch, so she called out to him. Now, please, Mr. Grinch, I saved you a spot. You're someone we Who's like an awful lot. The tree is for Whoville. You're part of it, too. I hope you can hear me," said Cindy Lou Who. And, so it's weird, because the Grinch, like, he gets this look on his face, like, "I thought," as the Grinch puzzled, "a prize-winning tree would prove to the Who's what today means to me, and show them for certain I truly belong, but perhaps I was wrong and belonged all along. And maybe, just maybe, we all win instead by being together at Christmas," he said. So it's kind of a weird message overall here. Like, the whole idea of this is that the Grinch wants to have a big Christmas tree contest, win a big Christmas tree contest to prove to everybody that he really has changed. But as the story, as I just told you in here, he didn't really need to do that, because everyone kind of already saw that he has changed overall, and that people do really like him overall, especially with the way that he has changed over the last year, which kind of makes the story really pointless when you think about it. I mean, it's got a decent message overall here, but I'll give it this, though. It's not as bad as something like Deck the Halls, where the whole purpose of that movie is to put as many Christmas decorations and lights up in the air so that your house can be seen from space, which is pretty much the overall message of that movie, which is a terrible, terrible message for a terrible, terrible movie. But I guess I didn't hate it, but I did feel like I got a lot of what I was worried about from when I first heard the announcement for this. It literally is just sequelized, except let's reverse some of the stuff around. Let's take some stuff that we have from the other books and just reverse it, like the thing about his heart shrinking 3 sizes, the idea of him repeating lines from the previous thing with opposite effects. But it's just I guess I can't say it's a bad book per se, because I didn't come out hating it. I just felt kind of like what I thought I was going to when I first heard about this. I feel like it was going to be just another sequelitis book, and it kind of is. And I guess some people can find something into the message of the storyline, that you didn't need an extravagant Christmas decorations or trees to get people to like you overall. Just be a good person. And prove that you can be a good person to these people, which the Grinch does prove it here. I think that there is a message there to be had here. I just thought it wasn't delivered well enough overall, but I'm glad I read this just to see what it would be like. But overall, I don't think it's bad per se, but it's not anything more than I thought it would have been. It's just kind of like a sequelitis storyline. Like I said, I keep saying it's sequelitis. Like, it's basically rehashing a lot of the same things from the previous storyline of the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas book, but it does incorporate some ideas. Like, I like that Cindy Lou Who has become more of the Grinch's, kind of the Grinch's guardian angel in a way, to be the guy to be the person that says, like, hey, you could be a good person. I'm going to show you how that is. And like I'll give a credit for that. I like that they're teaching some lessons here. It's not like it's nothing offensively bad about it per se. It's not even bad per se at all. It's just kind of like, it just kind of doesn't really deliver anything too significant that I was expecting from the beginning. But that's just my personal take on it. Again, if you read this book and you have a differing opinion of mine, I'd love to hear it down below. So if you did get to read this book, let me know your thoughts down below. But overall, it was alright. I really wasn't expecting a whole lot from it but I thought it was just okay for what it was. It's not one I'd want to read over and over again, but for a one-time read, I think it works. And if you have kids, I think they can get into it and really appreciate the story of it. But again, that's just my personal take on it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to some recommendations and wrap this one up. So the big new release this week that's coming out on Blu-ray that I would recommend is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I still think it's not as bad as everyone made it out to be. Everyone made it out to be this really bad movie, a film that makes people apologize for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because this is one of the most boring movies ever. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not a bad movie, and I will take that to my goddamn grave. But I liked Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I did a video talking about the movie, and I did a making of video talking about it, making that review. I still really enjoy the movie. I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out again. I got the steelbook coming in the mail in the next couple of days, so hopefully that'll be coming soon. Some of the other notable new releases: Star Trek Strange New Worlds comes out with the season 2. I thought season 2 was a ton of fun. There's a great crossover with Star Trek Lower Decks that they did, the animated show, which I thought was pretty cool, and they did a musical episode, which is really well done. Titanic's coming out on 4K for the first time ever, so if you want to check that out, that's available for the first time on 4K. Shout Factory's got a new Point Break set coming out on 4K as well. Northern Exposure's getting a Blu-ray release. Stand By Me's getting a nice-looking steelbook. So is Young Guns. The Color Purple is coming out in 4K just in time for the new remake, which I'm actually looking forward to checking out, too, which comes out at the end of the month. That's the most of the Blu-ray new releases, but in terms of movies that I've watched on streaming, I've seen a couple of movies. I saw Candy Cane Lane on Friday when that came out, and I will say this, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but kind of like with the How the Grinch Stole Last Christmas, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's not a great movie either. There were some creative ideas I thought were pretty interesting. It's a fun idea to mix It's a Wonderful Life and Deck the Halls, as well as Drag Me to Hell of all things, and it wasn't bad, but it's not one I'd want to watch over again. It's definitely a very mixed bag movie, but which is pretty much better than I thought I could have asked for that film, because I was looking at the trailer and I thought, this is not going to turn out well at all, I feel like. But that's just what I had to say about it. So Candy Cane Lane, that's on Prime Video. I did get to watch Leo on Netflix too with Adam Sandler, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. It was one that a lot of people really were surprised at how surprisingly enjoyable that was, and it's kind of a fun little movie. Adam Sandler fits this little gecko really well here. I think he does a phenomenal job with the voice here, and you also have Bill Burr with it in there as well. So is Cecily Strong, Jason Alexander. It's directed by Robert Smigel, and anytime Robert Smigel puts his stamp on anything, usually it will be very funny. And it was a really surprisingly enjoyable film. It has a nice edge to it. It surprisingly is more enjoyable than some of the animated films we've been getting over the last couple of months in theaters. Like Netflix, the way Netflix runs their business is not always great, but they always find some little gems here and there. This is definitely one that I would really recommend checking out. I don't know if it's going to be in the consideration for my best of the year list overall, but maybe an honorable mention. I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed it, honestly. I didn't get to see Good Burger 2 yet, but I think I'm going to save that for talking about the movies episode for next week, since I'm doing Steel City Con, which, by the way, for next week, because this is going to be the first time I'm doing a Reviewing Network Live while I'm doing Steel City Con, it'll be a shorter episode. It will probably mostly focus on the box office and maybe one or two stories of interest. as well as the recommendations here. So it's going to be a much smaller episode compared to what we've done with the regular show overall. So definitely be wary of that as we go into next week, because I'm just going to be way too tired by Sunday night to really put all my focus and attention on that, because we're going to be packing everything up here. And usually packing up and bringing stuff in on Thursday and packing stuff on Sunday and bringing it back home is the toughest part of this whole thing. Like, once we get everything set up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it's perfectly fine. But Thursday, working on Thursday to get everything up there and then bringing it all back on Sunday, that's the thing that really kills you in the end. And it's going to really take a lot of drain. It's going to really drain a lot out of me to really put together a full show. So just be wary that next week it will not be the regular length show that we usually do here. But just be on the lookout for that. But with that said, that is going to wrap up this episode of the Reviewing Network Live. So thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this and you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out the playlist that we have here, so you can check out some of the other episodes we've done. And thank you guys so much for listening in. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for another episode. So until then, we are out.